Good morning, New Vintage Church. We're so happy you're here. My name is Kayla, and I've been going to New Vintage for 8 years.
And my name is Ali, and I've been going to New Vintage Church for 16 years. That's double, Kayla.
We're so excited for today's service because
we have a new pastor. Today, we are so excited to introduce Darren Youngstrom as our new lead pastor.
There will be more information about Darren and his wife, Molly, this week on social media, and we're really excited to have him and his family as a part of our church family.
We want to stay connected with you guys all week long, so be sure to check out our weekday prayer and connection time at noon on Facebook Live.
If you want to receive our verse of the day every morning, text NVC verse to 555-888, and you'll get it every morning.
We cannot wait to get started with you guys. We have a great message with great music, and make sure to stay tuned after Darren's message for one more special song.
We're so excited. We have a pastor. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Perfect.
All the money that the world could hold, mountains made of solid gold, riches that could buy my dreams. You are better than all these things. The prettiest face to turn their eyes, beauty that could hypnotize, the open doors that looks may bring. You are better than all these things. 'Cause your love is better than life. You are the well that won't run dry. I have tasted and I have seen. You are better than all these things. Power that can shake the moon, most important wall in every room, status matched by only kings. You are better than all these things. 'Cause your love is better than life. You are the well that won't run dry. I have tasted and I have seen. You are better than all these things. Oh, your love is better than life. You are the well that won't run dry. I have tasted and I have seen. You are better than all these things. Being glad to love by everyone, approval that outshines the sun, cheered by all who think of me. You are better than all these things. You are better than all these things. Oh, you are better. Oh, you are better. I have tasted and I have seen. You are better than all these things. 'Cause your love is better than life. You are the well that won't run dry. I have tasted and I have seen. You are better than all these things. You are better than all these things. Oh, you are better than all these things. The weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God will never fail. Oh, my God will never fail. I'm gonna see victory. I'm gonna see victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see victory. I'm gonna see victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Yeah. There's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war he wages, he will. No, I'm not backing down to any giant. 'Cause I know how this story ends. Yes, I know how this story ends. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Oh, I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you,
How's you guys doing? Can you hear us?
Hey, what's up, church? I'm excited to hear you. My name is, and I'm excited to have a lot of today as we start this new 2 weeks called Calls. In my throat? Can you hear me? Am I frozen? Are you frozen? Are we all frozen in this land of Zoom calls where we can't understand what you're saying? Have you had a few calls like that recently where you were trying to say something and the other person was trying to say something and you said, well, I, uh-huh, you go. No, you go. I go. Are we? Is the world we're living in right now. You've probably had some calls like that. And it's amazing how we're trying to stay connected and make sure we maintain community in our lives because it's so important. I mean, I don't know what you're using the most, if you're a Facebook person or a Facebook Live or Instagram Live, if you're using this new Marco Polo, which I was just introduced to. Maybe there's some TikTokers watching, maybe have you become TikTok famous yet? Have you done something fun with your family on TikTok? Or maybe you're old school, maybe you're sticking with like text messaging, or maybe you're young and you're doing Snapchatting. You're like overloaded on Snapchat, or maybe you're just calling people on the phone, or maybe you're writing letters, snail mail. You're just going old school completely, and you're just connecting in whatever way you possibly can. Well, we're doing most of those in our house, like probably most of you are doing. And what I've noticed in this time of isolation is that we're a people who crave connection. I mean, more than ever before, I've noticed that here in this isolation, we crave connection. We crave community. We want to be known. We want to be connected to each other. I mean, you can put us in isolation. You can put us in quarantine. But you can't take away the desire we have for community, for connection, for being known. And the reason you can't take it away is because it's how we're made. It's how we're created. When God created us, he said it was good. He said man is good. But the next observation he made is that even though he's good, it's not good for him to be alone. It's not good for man or woman to be alone. And so he created a companion for man. And the very fact that we're created for companionship tells us that we're also created with a desire to be known. Like we want to be known. In fact, God said, let's create them in our image, male and female. And in other words, he wanted to create us like him in a lot of ways, with the characteristics that God has, and to operate in some of the ways that God operates. And so in Jeremiah 24 verse 7, when he says, I'm going to give them a heart to know me, that I am Lord, it reveals something really important to us about God. It reveals to us that God knows or values being known himself. There's a value to God that he would be known. And if we're created in his image, then it follows that that same value applies to us. That it's very valuable for us to be known. That's an important part of our life, and being fully known and fully loved is awesome, but it's not always easy. But see, because we want to be known and we want to be connected and we want to be in this community, we jumped on these Zoom calls, right? I mean, as soon as this quarantine happened, everybody was using Zoom, and the stock price of Zoom skyrocketed. The number of followers went from like 10 million to 200 million, like overnight. And everybody was using Zoom. I know the stock price went up because months ago, a friend of mine said, you should get some Zoom stock. I think they're going in the right direction. And so I did. I got a little bit. I wish I'd got more. But everything took off. I mean, when every other stock was sinking and tanking, Zoom was soaring. And that was true until we discovered that it wasn't secure, right? That there was a security breach, that the line couldn't be trusted, that it was easy to hack into. And at that point, when we knew the line couldn't be trusted, when it wasn't secure, the value began to plummet. And I was thinking about this idea of Zoom calls and connecting and community and being known. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's it. That's why it's so hard to be in community. That's why it's so hard to be known and to be connected, because of security breaches. Like we don't know who to trust. And it's hard to trust people. And in order to be really known, we've got to be vulnerable. Like to have really great community, really great connection, to be really known, you got to have vulnerability. You have to be real. You have to be honest. I mean, without it, you can't really have great community. I mean, you can have community. You can have people around you. You can look like you have a lot of friendships or depth to your friendships. You can look like you're in good shape, and it can appear that you've got good community, but apart from vulnerability and being real and authentic, you can't have great community. I mean, great community comes when people get real. I mean, maybe you've seen this in like a small group setting or something, or one of your best friends is real honest or something like that. I've been in groups where you have to share your story, and the first couple will go like week one, they'll share, and you'll be like, okay, that was nice, thanks for sharing. And then like the next week, like the really raw, honest, authentic couple shares, and like curse words start coming out, and people are like, oh my gosh, like you have a crazy story, like you're being honest about this. And they start talking about the way they used to be, or the struggle they walked through, and they're just like super honest. And she's got a crazy backstory, or he's got a crazy backstory, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I like you so much more because you've shared all that with us. Like I feel like I got a deeper connection because of your vulnerability, because you were real. We became closer. See, vulnerability is the secret sauce of depth in relationship. Like when you get real with somebody and somebody gets real with you, like all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like we just got close. Like I got on the inside, I like found out some stuff that nobody else might know about you. I got to kind of look behind the curtain and see what's really true about you. And now that I really know you, I kind of want you to know me. And it kind of works where if you share what's authentic about you and you get real, I want to be real with you as well. Vulnerability is the secret sauce of depth in relationships. And apart from it, you can't have great community. You can have community, you can have friends, but you can't have great community apart from it. But the problem is it's difficult and it's scary. I mean, at least with Zoom calls, I mean, there's a fix to the fact that there was a security breach. You just do passwords, and you just password protect your call, and you're pretty good, But you can't password protect people. You can't be like, Susan, I want to share something with you. Steve, I want to share something with you, but it's kind of real. It's kind of raw. It's kind of scary for me to do it because if I share this with you, you might look at me funny. You might not like me. You might tell somebody else. I mean, this is information that if it got out, it could kind of ruin me. And so I need to share it with somebody. I need to trust somebody, but let me just password protect our friendship so that it doesn't come out of your gossipy little mouth. Like you can't do that. And people are too easy to hack into, right? I mean, people just start talking because they want other people to know that they know the inside scoop. So it's like, I don't even know who to trust. Like I want to be authentic. I want to be real. I want to be vulnerable. I want great community, but it's hard to find. And see, it's been hard to find from the beginning. I mean, David in Psalm chapter 41, verse 9, I mean, he talks about, my best friend. He's like, even my trusted friend. I mean, the guy who ate bread at my table, he ate my bread. Even he raised his heel against me. Like my best friend, like this guy I thought was a trusted companion. The writer of Proverbs, in Proverbs chapter 20, talks about the fact that, many people, many men will claim to be loyal. They'll claim to be somebody that's trustworthy. But who can find a trustworthy man? Like, who can really find it? It's so hard to come by. But see, I know they're out there. And maybe they're out. I know they're out there because I've met them. I know them. I've taken the risk, and I've discovered that, man, when I get real with people who can be trusted, it's so good for me. And it's so helpful for me. And the writer of Proverbs, again, in chapter 18, actually gives us some hope when he says, the person who has like too many friends, their life's probably to come to a ruin because they're just trying to be friendly with everybody, be like, popular with everybody. And so they have so many friends, but there's no depth to it. Like that person comes to ruin, but there is a person who sticks closer than a brother. I mean, the people who will do that are out there. There are people out there who, no matter what you share with them, they'll be safe, and they'll be able to grow with you in vulnerability and authenticity and connection and community. They do exist. It might be a unicorn, but they do exist. But if you're a follower of Christ, if you're somebody who would say, I'm a follower of Christ, this is actually supposed to be the default mode for us. We're supposed to be safe. We're supposed to be trustworthy. Now, if you're watching today or this morning or another time, and you would not call yourself a Christian or a church person, or you don't follow Jesus very closely, and you're not sure, if you want to. Part of the reason you may not want to is because you've watched some Christians. You've watched some Christ followers who said that they were going to be safe and they weren't safe at all. In fact, they didn't love very well at all. Jesus said to his followers, he said, people are going to know that you're my followers because of the way you love one another. So in John 13:35, he says, listen, it's going to be proof. The way you love one another will be proof that you're my followers. And yet for many of us, that's not the case. See, you can't actually love somebody if you're not a safe place. I mean, you to love somebody means that like there is no security breach. There is no possibility that you're going to share something with me. If I love you, I'm going to go tell somebody else. I'm going to look at you funny. I'm going to judge you. I'm going to say, well, that's weird. I don't want to be friends with you anymore because this is the crazy stuff that you're telling me. Like when you truly love somebody, that's not even that's not a possibility. Like if we're really Christians who are listening, if we're really going to prove that we're followers of Jesus because of the way we love one another, that means that we've got to be a safe place for anybody to be vulnerable. We've got to be the kind of people that build depth in community, that we help people discover what it means to truly have great community. And we need great community. I'm telling you, we need great community. When you have great community, when you have a place where you can be authentic and real and share the worst of your stuff, man, that's life-giving. Because see, some of us have walked into the waters. We've dabbled in the waters of authenticity and vulnerability. We've shared something with somebody and we drowned because they looked at us crazy, or they told somebody, or they weren't trustworthy. And it's like, I'm never doing that again. Like that's not going to be something I'm going to do. For now on, instead of being real and honest, I'm just going to hide my stuff, carry my burdens myself. I'll deal with it myself because people aren't safe. And some of you, that's where you are. You've tried it, it didn't work. And so you've kind of locked yourself into a prison of carrying your own stuff, like worrying that if anybody ever finds out the truth, they're not going to like you because somebody else didn't like you. And I hate that for you. Oh, I hate that for you. And I hope through the course of this message today, as you listen to this, I hope we can free you up from that. And I hope we can help you find a place. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But some of you, you've tested the waters of vulnerability, and it has been amazing for you. I mean, you got real with somebody, you trusted somebody, and they responded in a way that was loving and gracious and not condemning or hate. In fact, they said, me too. Like you've walked through that. You've wrestled with that. You've struggled with that. Me too. I've got those same struggles, and it led to more vulnerability and more community and more connection. And you got not in a prison, you became free. You became free of carrying the burden yourself. You became free of worrying that people aren't going to like you, and you became fully known and fully loved right where you were. And it's made all the difference in your life. I'm telling you, that is what we all need. We need great community. It is life-giving. It's like medicine to our soul to know that somebody's got our back no matter what. I mean, great community, great connection, being fully known, it's what breathes life. It's the place where we're meant to thrive the most. It's what we're made for. We're wired for that kind of community. And a life apart from that, where you don't have a safe place, where you can't share what's really going on in your life, when you can't be authentic and just vulnerable with people, you're always going to be missing something. And I get it that the church sometimes has been like the last place that you think you could ever share what's really going on. Like it's the last place where you could get vulnerable and real and tell somebody what's really going on. But I want to tell you that can stop. That the church can be that place for you. That people who say they follow Jesus can love. They can accept. They can be gracious. In fact, many of them want to do that. And so here's the challenging part. Because we need and we thrive on community, and because community requires vulnerability, great community, it actually begins with you, and it begins with me. Like we have to be willing to take some risks. We've got to step out and trust some people. And I know that's hard to do, and I know you think, I don't know if I can. And some of you out there, you're carrying burdens, you're struggling on your own, and you're afraid to take that risk. And I totally get it. But I want to tell you, just the other day, Um, Julia Stewart jumped on Facebook. She goes to New Vintage and she just said, hey, everybody, there was a time in my life when I was at my lowest point that people surrounded me and loved me right where I was and didn't judge me and didn't hate me. And it changed everything for me. It gave life to my soul and my spirit. And now that I've experienced that, I want to do the same for you. I'm telling you, there are people within reach that want to help you. And I'll tell you this, that New Vintage Church wants to be that place. Wherever you're listening from, if you live in the Santa Rosa area and you're thinking like, where can I find a community? Where can I find real community, good community? Where can I find a place where I can just be real and authentic and myself? I'm telling you, that's going to be New Vintage Church. It's going to be a place where you can be yourself and you can find a safe place to share whatever is going on in your world. You can reach out to Julia. You can FaceTime her, DM her, email her, call her. I mean, somebody's got her number. You can find it. And there are other people within the church that want to do the same thing, that have been in your shoes. You can DM me. I can put my Instagram handle right here. See if I can do it. And here's my email. I mean, just you can reach out to me if you want to. And I'll let you know, hey, you know what? Thanks for sharing. I know it took a lot of courage. Thanks for being authentic and real. And look, we grew in our friendship. We grew in our connection. And I don't care what it is that you're carrying. I don't care what the burden is. You can't carry it alone. And you weren't made to carry it alone. You're not supposed to carry it alone. And for some of you, you're going to have to lean into community. You're going to have to take a risk. If you need help, you got to let somebody know. If you're struggling, you've got to open the door to let somebody in. If you're in need of somebody to come help you or encourage you or keep you afloat, you've got to take a risk and let somebody know. But I guarantee you there are people at New Vintage Church who want to help you. You know, the Bible is full of proof that we're made for relationship, because over and over again it uses the phrase one another. Love one another, encourage one another, help one another, pray for one another. It's, you know, one another. It's like there's like 30 or 40 of these times where it just goes, you got to be there for one another. You're made for one another. You got to help one another. And some of you are carrying some really heavy stuff. And this church, the people of New Vintage, would love to be another for you. I wrote down a list of things that you might be carrying with you. And I don't know if this is going to hit everybody. I don't know how this is going to hit everybody. But I just want you to know that we don't want you. We don't want you to go through life feeling like I got to carry this heavy burden all by myself because I tried to get real with somebody, with a Christian or with somebody that I thought was safe, and they messed it up for me. And now I got to do it myself, where I just don't trust people. I'm telling you, I know it's hard. Sometimes the church hasn't been the safest place, but we want to be the safest place. And you're carrying heavy stuff. For some of you, you're drinking too much and you know you want to quit and you've been trying and it's been hard and you're like, I don't know who to turn to. I guarantee you there's some Me Too people at New Vintage Church who would go, yeah, me too. I've been there. Maybe for some of you, your marriage is under attack. And this quarantine's been hard on your marriage. And you're like, I don't want to share that with anybody. I mean, I'm supposed to have it all together. I promise you, there are people here at this church who would go, me too. I've been through that. Maybe your faith is fading. And you're like, I don't want to tell anybody that I don't know if I believe anymore. I promise you, a bunch of me too's. And maybe for some of you, your faith is growing. And you're like, I'm kind of curious about this God thing for the very first time. And if I admit to that, maybe that's not going to be safe for me. It'll be safe at New Vintage. Maybe for you, your addiction is back. And you promised it would never come back. And if you get real about it, you're not sure what's going to happen. So you're hiding it. Or maybe for some of you, your finances are shot and your debt is climbing. Maybe for some of you, your anger has peaked again. It's spiked again and you're struggling with your anger and you don't even know why you're angry. And you're like, I can't tell that to people because if people know that I'm yelling and screaming at home, they're going to think I'm crazy. Like I promise you, for me, you can call me because I'm a me too on that one. That's a me too. Yeah, I've struggled with that a great deal. Maybe for some of you, you're going through abuse. Somebody's hitting you. And you're like, I can't share that. People will think this or that. You got to share that. You gotta get authentic with somebody. Maybe for you, a family member, a son or daughter has left. They've left the family, left the faith, and you're dying on the inside. And you're keeping it to yourself. Maybe for some of you, you've sinned in some big way that you have been carrying that burden on your own and you haven't let it out and it's eating you alive. And I'm telling you, getting it out into the light, into the open with somebody you can trust is going to change the game for you. And you've got to let it out. You're going to have to take a risk to be free of that. I want you to be free from that. Maybe for some of you that your stress is through the roof. Maybe for some of you it's what you see in the mirror. You hate it. And you're struggling with your eating or with your image, and you just hate who you see. You hate who you are. You cry yourself to sleep sometimes. You're just like so sick of yourself. And you've got to go somewhere and say, I don't like what I see. I don't like who I am. I need a friend who will sit with me and have a coffee with me and just let me tell you how I'm feeling. Come on. You've got to bring this stuff to the table. Maybe for some of you, you just don't, the words in your head are telling you that you just don't matter, that it's not even worth it for you to go on. And if that's you, if you're listening today and you're going, yeah, I've thought to myself, no one would even care if I was gone. You got to call us. You got to email us, info@newvintage.org. You got to let us know because we care. You think no one's going to care if I'm not here. Well, we would. We love you. You're worth it. You're valuable. And someone can help you, and you can get great community, and you can be known and fully loved, and we're here to make that happen. Maybe, for some of you, you're carrying stuff that I haven't mentioned. You can't live like that. Well, what is it that you're carrying? We want you to get free, but that starts with your vulnerability. Are you willing to share it? For you, you've got to lean in. For others of you that may be listening, none of that hit you because you've already leaned in. A while back, you leaned in. You discovered the joy of vulnerability and being real and being authentic, and it's changed everything for you. And for you already have community. You have great community, and it's giving you life. It's medicine for your soul. It's all that I've talked about. But for you, your role in this whole thing isn't maybe to lean in and be real and be authentic. For you, your role is to go and be. You've got to go and be community. You've already done it. You've seen it. Now you got to repeat it. You got to help other people find it. For those of us who this is the story of our lives, that we've already experienced great community, man, what an opportunity we have in this season, at this time, when people are hurting and maybe lonely and discouraged. This is an opportunity. See, we were never meant to be alone. It's not good for man to be alone, for women to be alone in our sorrows, alone in our suffering, alone in our mind, in our thoughts, alone in our fears and our worries and our concerns, in our houses, alone in our joys, alone in our successes. It's not good for us to be alone, and many of you know that. And so we can't leave people alone. If we know what great community is, we've got to go and be great community. For some of you, this might mean just like ordering Uber Eats for somebody and sending it to their house that they're having a hard day. And so you send it with a note with the driver that says, hey, I'm praying for you. I love you. Call me anytime. Maybe for some of you, it means that a family member or a friend who's going through a rough time and they probably wonder if anybody cares. Just call them. Ask them how they're doing. Talk about it. Let them know you care. You're there for them. You don't have to say, hey, I know you're alone and you're not very vulnerable. Do you want to share anything with me? Don't do that. That's weird, okay? Just be their friend and talk to them and just, encourage them. Maybe for some of you, you want to be a little more creative. My brother is an awesome artist in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he was like, what can we do during this pandemic, this quarantine, to just let people know that people care about him? So he has this painting he does, kind of one of his regular paintings that he sells a lot of, and it says love on it, L-O-V-E, and then it says hurts, and he crosses that out, and it says sucks, and he crosses that out, and then it says never fails, and he doesn't cross that out. And his point is, when it comes to love, sometimes it feels like it really hurts, sometimes it feels like it really sucks, but the truth about love is that it never fails. And he made 100 of these things, original pieces of art, and he took them and put them throughout the entire city of Charlotte, and then he started blogging about it and Facebooking about it, Instagramming about it, and said, hey, if you need it, if you want some encouragement, if you're walking around, if you're out and about, and you want to grab one, take one, it's all yours. How cool was that? They were gone like that the next morning. I mean, people took them. They were. I mean, the newspaper was calling him like, "What is this that you're doing?" He's like, "I've already got another one planned that says kindness is cool." And it's like, you know, he's just like, "What can I do to tell people that somebody's for you, somebody's with you?" And I don't know what kind of creativity will come out of this, but I would love it if the people of New Vintage Church were just like, you know what, we're going to be on a mission. I've discovered great community. I have great community, and I'm on a mission to help people who might need great community, who need a place to share, a safe place to vent, to be honest, to be real. I'm going to make it my mission to go and be community for people. Man, that would change the world for so many people. What if that's what we were known for? What if that's what we became? The safest place who cared about people more than they could ever imagine. I think maybe we would be known as his disciples because of how we love one another. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool if people said, oh, that's the church. Those are the people that they love us no matter what. Those are the people that love each other in crazy ways. Those are the people that, oh my gosh, they care so deeply for one another. I've got to go see what that is all about. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. And listen, we're wired for this anyway. We're meant to be known. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to thrive. And so my challenge for us, for those of you that are struggling, that need community, you've got to lean in. You've got to reach out. You've got to take a risk. And for those of us that have already experienced it, we've got to go and be. Go and be what we're supposed to be to our friends, our family, and the people in our community. Thanks for tuning in this week. I hope we see you next Sunday when we talk about the fact that our community has a massive impact on the community if we do our community right. Thanks for tuning in. I already said that. You have a great Sunday. I'm out of here. Well, all right, that's it.
Dad, you said we were going to sing Lean on Me.
Oh, yeah. Lean on me.
Dad, you're no good at singing.
Kind of rude, but I get it. What should we do?
I think Mr. Jeff and his friends should sing it.
I think you're right. What should they do?
Hit it, Mr. Jeff.
Lean on me.
Hope you're having a really good Sunday. Yeah, me too.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. Oh, if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Oh, it won't be long. I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have faith, you need to borrow. No one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Just call on me, brother. You need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem to understand.